The newly proposed Waters of the U.S. rule represents the administration's latest effort to establish a clear standard for federal water jurisdiction. It aims to deliver long-awaited regulatory certainty for the ag sector. And Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now with his thoughts on this, and we sure appreciate your time, Roger. You have joined us to talk about WOTUS countless times over the years, so let's start with just a little bit of background on the regulation and its impact over the years and how we got to this point.
Well, it's good to be with you, Jennifer. The reason we're here, I think, is largely because of confusion created by the Congress and then the U.S. Supreme Court not providing a clear definition of what a WOTUS is. And it's been a mess in the federal district courts for decades, as well as the appellate courts. And it seems every administration that has come along has had its own definition.
So what are some of the key elements of this proposed rule?
Well, there's a number of them. One, it establishes a pretty clear definition for what relatively permanent means in terms of continuous surface connection and tributary. And it also limits jurisdiction to tributaries that connect to traditional navigable waters directly or through features with consistent and predictable flow. And along with that, it also limits federal jurisdiction over wetlands to only those areas that are physically touching jurisdictional waters and maintaining surface water long enough to be indistinguishable from those waters. And that's a really big development. And it also preserves existing exclusion for certain ditches and prior converted cropland and waste treatment systems and adds new exclusions for groundwater. And I think it also establishes pretty clear boundaries with tribal lands, and it recognizes, importantly, local expertise in land and water resource management, and brings in and incorporates regionally familiar terms like wet season. That means one thing in one part of the country, it means something different in a different part of the country. And so they're allowing for regionally definition of those terms to help determine when a water body will qualify as a WOTUS.
Let's talk about what those next steps are for public review.
Well, the proposed rule was published in the Federal Register, I should say, last Thursday, so November 20th, and that triggers a 45-day public comment period. So that would be 10 days in November. You've got 31 in December, so you'd need another 4 days in January. So about January 5 is when that trigger is up, and you can get the public can send in comments before the final rule is adopted. And they're also planning, the agencies are planning on public meetings to flesh out further details and hear from the public. And this is all available on the EPA's website that people can go there and figure out where these meetings might be at and how to submit comments.
Let's wrap up with your big takeaway here. Could we finally be looking at the certainty that farmers and ranchers have been calling for?
Well, let's hope for that. It's been a long haul, over 50 years since Clean Water Act put this provision in the 1970s. And this is really a good rule for landowners and farmers and ranchers, actually a pretty good rule for everybody. So let's hope that we do actually get some certainty and some finality to this.
All right. Fingers crossed for that. Thank you so much. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. We always appreciate you being with us.